believe so. Welcome back to the first episode of 2024 at the Project Gen X podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with
Big Dave, and I'm feeling really old.
I cannot believe it is 2024.
I can't either.
That just... It makes zero sense whatsoever. We'll get into it because
we always do.
We figured starting the year off, we're just going to do a little catch up and not really have a topic, and we'll just go from there.
I heard we got an email.
We did. We got an email from Blair. Wanting to know when we were coming back.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
or sorry.
Sorry, dude. Dude is non-gendered. It's
dude is not gendered. Whatever. I hear he's just a little north of here.
Yeah, apparently. So.
I guess we're going to have to make a trip back to where I went to college at.
I don't know. We will. 2024 has already, and we're just a few days in, and it seems like it is already
gone off the rails.
Man,
it's absolutely gone
went
off the
rails almost immediately. And
New Year's Eve was good. New Year's Day was good. January 2nd, it was immediately a floating dumpster fire.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all. Well, my January 1st didn't go so great.
Ooh, sorry.
It is what it is. You know, I'll be honest. I didn't anticipate Alabama being in the college playoff to begin with. I now, after that beatdown that Georgia put on Florida State, I don't feel bad about them not getting into it. But I think Georgia probably has a bigger gripe than Florida State ever will about that. So,
well, the Seminoles haven't been the Seminoles since the late 80s.
You know, they won a national title in 2013. Or 2014.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, when Jameis Winston was there and beat Auburn, which that's one of the few times I've ever pulled out of conference.
They're doing a little better than the Hurricanes right now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. But it is what it is. Next year's going to be fun, though. I'm really anticipating the 12-team playoff. They should have at least been at 8 to begin with rather than 4. Just to go ahead and avoid a bunch of the controversy.
What's going to be fun?
Mm-hmm.
Is now that James Madison University is off of their conference.
Are they on suspension or something?
Well, they changed conferences.
Did they change conference or did they move up? They moved up. Yeah, they changed divisions.
But the reason I have an interest in this is both my wife's sister and her husband both work at JMU. I know.
Just turn it back on. So I started that with anticipation of wrong one, other side. Yeah, not that one. Hit the on to your left. Yeah, right there. Hit. Oh, I guess it is. Okay, never mind. No, that's right. I guess the reason why I say that is
coffee maker is not that complicated.
That one's not either, but I had a coffee maker previously that literally that button on the bottom that you push had
2 sides to it.
Yeah, it was funny because it was solid across, but if you touched the left side, then it would brew now. If you touched the right side, it would do later.
Anyway, my wife's sister and her husband both work at James Madison University, which will be called JMU from now on.
Okay.
So it was fun watching them blow up like they did this year, and it'll be if they can keep that momentum next year and be able to actually get into some of the conference and bowl games and all that, it'll be a lot of fun.
Fair enough. I always like to see teams, colleges move up in divisions, and Jacksonville State moved up, and a few years I remember when MTSU moved up. I think Bowling or
Western and MTSU are both in the same conference
now. But they also both moved up to Division I at one point because they used to both be in what was called Division II. I forget what they call it now, but that anyway, it's football. That's all it is.
All I know is I'm happy anytime Western Kentucky goes down into Murfreesboro and whips the pants off of MTSU.
Fair enough.
MTSU made me an instant rival. So let's get into a little bit of this.
Here we go.
Oh, I'm going to tell this story. So when I finally decided to get my butt in gear and go to 4-year college because I'd finished up my associate's degree and actually, get serious about schooling and all that.
Which you realize was like 19 years ago.
I know. Let's not talk about that, okay? I put my envelopes for requesting information for Western Kentucky and MTSU in the mailbox at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Same time, just laid them right in on top of each other, closed the mailbox. Western got back to me within 2 weeks and had already set up tours and had already set up interviews with my department that I was wanting to go into and had all that going. Never heard back from MTSU. Kept calling them, going, "Hey, since you guys, request, yeah, we're going through the stuff. We'll get back to you in a little bit." Never heard from them. I'm originally from Kentucky, just over from Bowling Green anyway. I was like, I have no problem with going to Western. I kind of like Western. It's kind of like going home. So I went to Western. And after, I guess I was home for Christmas break, and I got a call from MTSU going, "Hey, we'd like to talk to you about coming to MTSU." And I go, "Too late, suckers. I've already finished a semester at Western Kentucky because you guys never got back to me. And because we're rival schools, you've made an instant auto hate out of me. So screw you guys. I hope we beat you at every sport that we ever play you in. I hope our departments are always better than yours. You may be a bigger school, but we'll always be better," and hung up on them.
Okay.
So MTSU, screw you.
Feel better now? You got that out of the way?
I do feel better now.
Anyway, but yeah, like I said, it was a good game, though. I just hated that we lost to who we lost to. It was the biggest thing for me. So
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I think the bigger surprise out of the two was Texas losing to Washington.
Yeah.
That was the ones that you got to be kidding me. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm probably not even going to watch the national championship game because I really don't care.
I don't even know who's in it.
Washington and Michigan. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
The Pac-12 and the Big Ten.
You mean the Little Ten?
Yeah, well, that's...
I mean, who
Well,
knew?
the thing is, the Pac-12 is not even going to exist next year.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, in name, they'll still exist, but there's only going to be two teams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's next year with the conference realignment and everything else and all that stuff. So, we're 7 minutes in. We haven't even talked about anything that we normally talk about on here. So,
Oh, we need to talk about a certain date that happened.
December 9th. Yeah. So, for those of you that are listening from outside of Tennessee, you may or may not have heard.
Well,
that,
it made national news. It just didn't make national news loudly because
no, but
other things were going on.
yeah, well, there's always other things going on whenever we have a natural disaster. So.
Well, here's the thing: when Nashville has a natural disaster,
Yeah.
when people are actually getting killed and all that, the national news ignores us every time.
There were 6 people killed here around in the area.
Three of them
were
just up the block from you.
Right. Well, and 3 of them just up the road from you.
Yeah.
So I mean, now yours was a little further away than mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were tornadoes that came through Tennessee on December 9th.
How many did they finally decide it was?
7, I believe it was in total. And they were all across the state. But the one that I'm most concerned with is the one that came through my neighborhood, and
Like a half football field from your house?
it was a little longer than that, but it basically was 0.12 miles from my house.
Yeah.
Was what I mean. Literally, like you can go right up, like literally right
No,
up the road.
I had to drive.
Yeah,
through
you can
the-
either go behind, like the next road over from me.
Yeah.
And see the damage over there, or you can just go right up the street that I live on, or the connecting street, the cross street right here. You can go right down the street like a quarter of a mile, and that's where 3 people died.
The tornado path coming to your house was very, very obvious.
Yes, but it just, it was one of those things that, I was in the bathroom because it was like I walked outside before everything happened, and the sky was just green. I was like, this is not a good sign. It was also eerily calm, and so I grabbed my son and Dad, and we all got into the bathroom because we had a pretty secure bathroom right here in the middle of the house. But
And a wet wall, which means it's going to hold up a little bit.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good secure place to go. Something like that happened, but we were sitting in there, and like I could feel the air pressure change, and it's like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then the power went out, and didn't come back on for 2 days, 2.5 days.
Well, it's because a tornado took out a substation,
which again is about a quarter mile from my house. There's some really gnarly.
And then it went on and went through Hendersonville,
which is right up the road, which is where you used to live.
Where I used to live, where our buddy Corey still lives.
It's where so many people that I know live there.
It's where my mom still lives.
Yeah.
She spent the night in a stairwell at a condo.
Wow.
So
yeah, it was a lot of fun right before Christmas.
Oh yeah,
just a few weeks before Christmas.
Oh, that was the other thing in Hendersonville. It actually hit the toy drive.
Yeah,
place.
I heard about that.
And they were asking for emergency donations to get toys back to where they could hand them out.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, and that was a fun day. That was a fun couple of days. You know what was funny though? We didn't have electricity. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we're staying here at the house.
Yeah,
it's funny because my old place still had
power,
which haven't lived there in almost a year, but we still
different
own
substation.
Different substation, and we've been remodeling it, and so that was kind of hey, if it gets too bad, I'll just go grab a sleeping bag and you can go over there. I sent my son back to his mom's house because they still had electricity and
power
everything.
And water and all that.
The cool thing is that we have gas heat here.
Oh, I'm the same at my house. Yeah, so still hot showers.
We still had hot showers, so that was just.
So you've got a hot water heater.
Heater, yeah.
Folks, if you have the opportunity to switch from an electric to a gas hot water heater, always get the gas hot water.
That is one of the advantages of having the gas water heater is that if the electricity goes out, it still works.
Yeah.
So that was nice. We could still take hot showers, which was
still boil water.
Boil water, whatever it was. Now my dad's side of the house has a gas range also.
Oh, nice.
So now you obviously had to light it, but it still worked. So that was.
I'm trying to talk Nay into letting us get a gas range, but she's afraid she'll burn the house down. And God love her, she admits that she's a klutz, and she's afraid that she would end up dropping like a wash rag or one of the heat pads. What am I trying to say? Thing you pick hot.
Oh yeah.
Hot pots up.
Yeah, you're talking about
my brain has short.
Pot holder.
Pot holder. Thank you. Could it be any more simply?
Yeah. Well, it is.
Well, she actually learned a pot holder knitting or crocheting pattern from my mom, and now she does it. So we've got like a bunch of these crocheted pot holders that are like double thick and really nice. Okay. And she's afraid she'd end up catching one of those on fire.
You can do the same thing on an electric range.
I know.
I mean, it's not. Know. Now, a funny story about that.
It wouldn't be that hard to put into our house because the other side of the wall from where the kitchen is our gas fireplace.
Yeah, you just run off of there.
Yeah, so it would be like maybe 3 foot of copper piping.
Yeah, that's true.
To be able to put it in.
My old place used to, before we redid the kitchen over a decade ago, it had a gas range.
Yeah.
And it was okay. I mean, whatever. Now, my first wife, God love her, we had I had these, the covers that you put on the eyelets.
Yeah.
Okay. I had those on. Yeah, that's just kind of the way it had been for whatever. So she went in there. She went in there to.
I already see what she did. She went in there to cook, and she left the cover on it.
She left the cover on one. She took the cover off of one that she was going to use
and turned the wrong burner.
Oh,
yeah.
And then that didn't work, and she didn't turn it off, and then she turned the other one on. And that one ignited, and then the gas caught in the other one as well. It wasn't explode. It flared pretty big, but it was just it was over like that. Yeah, but it was just one of those like what? Okay. So,
admittedly. You have to be a little more careful with the gas range.
You do,
but the benefits are
they are
much better.
It is nice.
Like I would finally be able to go completely cast iron and stainless steel cookware and not have to worry about all the Teflon non-stick garbage.
There's a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
So, so we're in 2020. Can you believe we're in 2024?
I think we've already covered this. And neither one of us could.
I'm still trying to get over.
Roll the tape. Let's see here. Yes, it's 2024. Neither one of us could believe it. We're still both feeling old. Yep, go ahead. What's next?
Yeah. Something I wanted.
You rearranged the studio again.
I did,
and it's got me somewhat out of sorts.
I actually did this last night because
what I like about it is I am closer to the coffee pot.
Yes. I think this actually, the way that I have this arranged now, gives us a little more room. I'm in the coming later. I don't know when. I'm not going to say the coming days or weeks or whatever. I'm going to get us a new table as well, one that's a little more accommodating for us and guests and all that kind of stuff. I've got some things that we need to discuss later. But
what have you done now?
The stuff I always do.
What have you done?
But
the things I put up with you for.
Yeah, well, it's been almost 30 years since we met, and actually it'll be 30 years later this year.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We met in 94, so that's yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So
I just had my 30th high school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then again, so did Corey. So.
Yeah.
Ha ha.
So.
Ha 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 ha.
I was supposed to have one, and we never had it. So.
Oh, I guess my school is better than yours.
Well, I think somebody just decided not to.
No,
believe me, believe me, the school has nothing to do with it whatsoever.
I know.
And believe me, I did all of the 10, 15, 20, 25, and then 30 rolled around and nobody wanted to organize
I'm actually not bagging on the school
Yeah.
because the wife's nephews and niece go to school there now.
Well, it had more to do with the fact that nobody just wanted to
in fact,
organize it all. So.
I've got to go to a graduation there this year.
Mm. Well, what I was going to get to is that with New Year, and believe me, I'm not doing any of that New Year, New Me BS because through that.
You've never done that.
Last year I did a pretty good job, but I actually started about 2 weeks beforehand. I got to jump on it. It was just like, yeah, whatever. This has nothing to do with the New Year. It has more to do with the fact that I'm just tired of.
I'm waiting until March.
Since this time last year, I have put on a little weight. It's
screw you.
I said a little. Let's put it this way: when I moved into this place in March or end of February last year, actually, I was thinner than I have been in a very long time.
Yeah.
And after I moved in here, I think just kind of being out of sorts for a while, I wasn't exercising and eating the way that I had been.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on a little bit of weight. It wasn't like a whole lot, whatever. But as the year progressed, I had to go back to the doctor after a couple of things happened and wound up back on my anxiety medication, which I'd been off of for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And that I believe has more to do with it than anything, because when I got off of it in March of 2022, I lost like 12 pounds that. I mean, it fell off, I'm like, oh crap.
It's because you were sitting there silently being very still and still vibrating.
I don't know, but it was just one of those things where it was just like, all right, here we go, but I don't know. It's kind of, it took me a few months to actually kind of level back out on the meds again, as well as taking some other crack. Was when this goes live, I will still be 49, but it won't be too long before I turn 50. And it's
welcome to the party, pal.
And that we're going to get into a little bit more of that here in a little bit to kind of to talk about what we have planned for this year.
You mean what you have planned?
No, what we have planned for this year. With the podcast.
You made plans for me?
And some other stuff. I always do. I don't ever tell you. Dave, we've known each other long enough. I know not to ask you if you want to do something. I just tell you, like, hey, we're going to do this thing, and then we'll figure it out on the fly. So because that's just the way I work.
Yeah. And usually I go along with it until I decide, no, I've had enough, and I push back, and you decide, well, if he's pushing back, maybe we look at something
I'll go do it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's with some other stuff. I mean, like I said, getting ready to turn 50, being my age has all of a sudden caught up to me with several things like, and all of a sudden developed acid reflux and a few other things that I had no problems with whatsoever. You notice I'm drinking ginger ale instead of coffee.
Yeah.
It's because I go through a couple of those a day now to try to keep my stomach settled. Although the doctor did just give me another up my prescription for
omeprazole.
Yeah, and it seems to be helping more. So, but
I've been on prescription strength omeprazole for quite a while.
Yeah. And we are old. We're sitting here talking about our medications, but
it's gotten to the point I went and actually got the pill dividers.
Yeah.
So that way, when I'm up in the morning and still haven't had enough coffee, I'm not accidentally taking the wrong medication.
That's the other thing is with all of this, and I'm hoping that...
And I'm getting ready to have to replace them because now the holders are not big enough for all the pills that I'm trying to take.
I'm hoping that this...
I swore I'd never become this person, and now here I am.
I'm hoping that this increase is going to help me to where I can actually drink a normal amount of coffee again. Yeah. Because it's gotten to the point, if I drink more than a cup of coffee, that it kills me. Yeah. And
you know what else will help with that? Greek yogurt.
Yeah, I probably need to start doing that too. But yeah, it's just little things like that have become annoying. Where I'm like, I can't believe that I can't,
geriatric talk.
No, I'm just like, I can't believe that I can't drink coffee the way that I always have because it just really.
I never stopped. I kept taking my omeprazole, and then if it still hurt me, I was like, no. Yeah. If there's too much blood in my coffee stream, I may murder somebody.
Well, I kind of look at that the same way I looked at some other stuff that I've cut out of my life in the last decade and a half or so, where it's hey, maybe it's that time of my life where I have to like reassess why I'm drinking so much coffee. It's like, all right, so it's time to start finding like actual.
I know I'm drinking so much coffee, but I need my job.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's one of those that I think that it's time to start actually trying to figure out normal ways of getting energy rather than finding it from caffeine or whatever. And so that's kind of getting back into watching what I eat and getting some exercise, not going as hard as I was.
I was going to say you need to stay away from cocaine because they're mixing fentanyl.
Yeah, that reminds me of something I need to tell you later.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, it's not good. But Oh, I remember something I was going to say earlier about having electricity off for 2 days. Like I said, we stayed here. I slept better those 2 nights than I have in years.
I bet.
I mean, it was just dark, no distractions. There was no light in the house.
Well, you also didn't have the 60. You also didn't have the 60 hertz hum humanity has gotten used to having.
I'm sure, but I mean, I legitimately slept wonderfully.
But
those 2 nights.
That's one of the reasons why me and a buddy have started going to Cherokee National Forest to go deer hunting. Mm-hmm. Once a year. Mm-hmm. I didn't get
to
go
get away from everything.
Let me tell you, going to the mountains and sleeping in a Civil War style officer's canvas tent under the stars with nothing but a campfire, you will get the best because the air up there is pristine because there's nothing around. Right. Literally. Plus you're at a higher altitude. It cleaned all my sinuses out. I got the best sleep I ever got. Walk around the mountains forced me to actually have to breathe. It was amazing.
Anyways, when I was rolling into, like I said, I'm not doing this New Year, New Me bullshit, but when I was rolling into 2023, I don't do New Year's resolutions. I never have because I was like, whatever. If you're going to change something in your life, change it during the regular, change it when you need to, not whenever you think you're supposed to, Yeah. And, but I did last year, I posted something on my personal Instagram that I titled Things I'm Leaving Behind in 2022. Okay. And I'm just going to read them. And then I'll come back through and we'll talk about this. It's like the first one was being fine, quote unquote fine. Yeah. The second
Which is my normal state of being.
Finding something that works. Chasing things that don't want to be caught. Settling for good enough. Not believing I can do better. Yeah. Living below my station. Saying what I think other people want to hear. Which, believe it or not, I actually have done that quite a bit in my life. compromising what I deserve, ignoring red flags, being envious of others' fortunes, believing that potential is a bad word, which that goes way back. That's not just a last year thing.
Yeah.
Being a quote unquote great guy, compromising boundaries, and wasting time and energy on people who do not return the effort. These were all things that I said that I wasn't going to do in 2023.
Yeah, the problem is I still need my job.
Yeah. Well, I can go down that list, and I did pretty good in 2023 about all this stuff.
Good for you.
I said about most of it. There's a few things that could probably still use. But anyways, what I was saying is that...
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Getting ready to burn some shit down here.
This is your language warning. If
not
if you have your kids in the car listening, it's time for you to turn off the podcast.
No, I'll tell you what.
It's going unfiltered.
I'll tell you what it is. And the person I'm talking about here probably will never hear this. And I'm not one who generally will air grievances.
No names.
No, none whatsoever. But there was somebody that was in my life for a while that, quite honestly, some of that stuff was written about. Okay?
Yeah.
And I finally got to the point with them earlier this year of I was backing off. And then they came to me and asked for a big favor.
Oh, okay. I know where we're going.
Yeah. And I said, sure, I will help you with this. Okay. Piece of advice for everybody listening.
If you're going to ask
if
for
somebody
help, don't
asks
ghost
for,
them.
If somebody comes and says, hey, or if you go to somebody and say, hey, I need some help. And the person says, sure, no problem. What do you need me to do? And then they say, okay, I need whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you set up a time and a place to help this person. You set aside a complete whole day for them.
Yep.
On the run up to it, at the very least,
Touch base, double check.
send a text message. Hey, we still on for Saturday?
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, this is a thing that happened.
Just don't assume.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things where I got to the point where I was like, I don't hear from them. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Because this is the pattern. This is, I need. And
Yeah.
that was it. And then some time passed and there was contact. And of course, it was all my fault. And I'm like, oh, no, you did this. This was a,
Yep.
Don't even. I bent over backwards for this person for several years and got nothing in return. Hardly ever even just a thank you.
Yeah.
Which is really, I mean, it was like just kind of a, yeah, okay. And then that was it. And just like, you know what? Sometimes you just don't need people in your life. So that's my public service announcement is, you know what? If you got somebody in your life who will help you with something, be grateful.
Yeah.
That they, be thankful. Be thankful, not grateful. Be thankful.
Yeah.
Whenever someone will drop everything to help you out in a pinch, and don't just assume that they're going to
show up
or
that
they'll always be there.
And that's the other thing. Clear communication.
Mm-hmm. And I get it. Sometimes communication, hell, I've been divorced twice. I know about communication not being such a great thing. But it's just one of those things that it's like, if I've learned nothing in my almost 50 years right now, it's that, hey, you just have to keep talking to people. That's the big thing. Yeah. And be clear and be, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what, whatever it is. Not just being and being respectful of people's time.
Yeah.
Is the other thing, because that was probably the biggest issue of all of it, was not being respectful of time, of this person just kind of expected that I would drop anything.
The amount of, how do I put this politely? Self-centeredness and entitlement that's going on, where everybody is out for themselves. It's about me. there is a place where there used to be common sense and logic and courtesy and manners. And those things don't exist anymore.
Nope.
And frankly, I'm sick of it.
Yep, I agree with that.
And don't, when I complain about the way you're treating me, do not turn it around on me and try to act like you're the victim.
Exactly.
Because that will, don't push me to the point of being angry because you're mistreating me, and then try to make me out to be the monster because I reacted to the way you were treating me.
Right. And there is also a difference between telling someone what they're doing wrong and a personal attack.
Yeah.
And that's what people, it seems like, really can't. If I come to you and say, Dave, we need to talk about this thing, whatever it is, that's not me coming and saying, Dave, you're a terrible person and this is why. It's, no, we need to talk about this so that we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. And that seems to be one of the things that has really gotten, you go to somebody and you're like, hey, can we talk about this thing? Like, why are you attacking me? Whoa, that has nothing to do with attacking you. These things that I want to talk about, and yes, I know I'm being very vague here. These things that I want to talk about with this relationship, and when I say relationship, I mean that friendship is a relationship just the same as any other kind,
Yeah.
These are the issues, and if you think that those issues are some kind of a personal attack, then you need to reassess who you think you are, because you're obviously placing a lot more emphasis on not even traits, not like character traits, or just like on the way that this is the way that I handle this. Well, that's not who you are. That's just the way you handle it. There's a difference.
Yeah.
That's something I had to come to terms with years ago. I used that excuse for a long time. That's just the way I am. It's like, no, that's the way that I was reacting. That's the way I was handling things. That wasn't who I was or who I am.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that just really irritates me with people a lot of times. So, yeah. Let's do another awkward one. So you guys probably remember Barry.
Oh no.
Look,
okay.
we never talked about it. Here's the thing. You guys notice that Barry's not on the show any longer. There is no animosity. Okay, Barry, there was a miscommunication. That's all I'm going to say. Barry has 100% is welcome to come back on the show anytime he wants to. I don't know if he still listens to the show or not. I'm not trying to get a message back to him. I have been in contact with him recently. I've actually been in contact with Amy recently as well. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, look, anytime Barry wants to come back on the show, he's more than welcome to. There was just a miscommunication. That's all it was. And I'm just putting that out there. I know people are probably wondering, like, oh, he was here one day and then he was gone and nobody said anything. That's what it is. Barry and I have known each other a long time. And, sometimes, it is in every friendship. You have your ups and your downs. And admittedly, things could have been handled a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't foresee this being anything that would keep us from being friends. So we'll see. Maybe Barry comes back on the show in 2024. We don't know. But invitations out there, and they seem to be doing well. So that's kind of where we are. And, figured you guys probably deserved to kind of know what was going on. It was, again, nobody hates anybody that I'm aware of. I don't know, maybe they hate me, but that's all my friends hate me for some reason or another. So I'll admit it.
Eventually, you piss off everybody.
Eventually, I make everyone mad
for like 2 or 3 years.
There seems to be this pattern with me. I blame everyone else, but
but I still blame you.
Yeah, but yeah, that is a. We'll see. We'll see what happens. As I said, Barry, always welcome to come back. Always welcome to hang out. So we'll see what happens in 2024. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm just kind of.
Anything else you want to get off your chest since you're?
I'm not an airing of grievances because I don't really have grievances with anybody anymore. Even with that other situation, I haven't even really thought about it.
If you would have let me know, and I would have set up the Festivus pole over here in the corner.
Yeah, I didn't get to do Festivus this year. So, well, here's the thing: I don't really need Festivus to air grievances. So it's
that's what the podcast is for, evidently.
Or hanging out at Waffle House, or whatever it is. It's I can just air grievances anytime, any place.
Maybe I need to take a Waffle House napkin dispenser to
Not
your
quite.
forehead.
You still have that dispenser I gave you for your birthday?
It's at my house. It's at my house.
Oh man! But
I just wanted to be clear that I never assaulted anybody. I just spoke something out into the universe, and it happened for me. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, it is what it is.
Evidently, I'm a master manipulator because I somehow talked Alan into hitting Corey in the forehead with a
You
Waffle
didn't have
House.
to talk me into anything.
I was like, I wonder what this would sound like if I hit somebody in the forehead with
it.
And the universe manifested it for me.
A much younger me.
And it was a very satisfying clunk.
Oh, it sounded wonderful. And the reaction was even better from Corey. A much younger me who didn't have almost any impulse control.
You had zero impulse control. There was no impulse control there whatsoever.
It was prone to pull stunts like that of somebody, hey, I wonder what would happen. Okay. And
yep.
That was kind of,
you were kind of our own private little...
It was fun to be around.
Wind-up toy.
It was fun to be around for a little bit, and then it just got tedious. I recognize that because it got tedious for me as well because it was...
Oh, did you get bored tormenting people?
Oh, no, I never got bored with that. But it was more of a... having to be on all the time. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's... I remember having this conversation with another friend of ours. Yeah, it was right. It was probably around the time that I got sober, where I remember telling him, I was like, sometimes it's just not fun to walk into a place, and before I've ever had a chance to introduce myself to anyone else, they already know who I am.
By your reputation.
And that some kind of craziness is supposed to happen. And then you just feel like there's eyes on me all the time of, is he going to do it now? Is he going to do it now?
Why do you think I've always tried to fly under the radar?
Yeah. And that just, and again, like I said, a much younger and version of me really liked that. Liked being the crazy guy that would do and say anything. And then... an older version of me really got tired of that.
There was a younger version of me that was kind of like that, and I discovered really quickly that if you're sitting over in the corner quietly, people are actually a little afraid of you because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well...
Or what I might do if pushed to a certain point.
I think the thing that bothered me the most through all of that was when I wasn't feeling it that night. And then everybody asked me what's wrong. Mm-hmm. It was like, can't I just sit here and
hang out,
be human for a night without having to be everybody's entertainment? Yeah, I just...
You were the quote rock star.
Well,
you were the one that...
there was that too.
You were the crazy man.
Yeah, there was that too. And I was just like, it just got tedious after a while. And it's like, I kind of understood why a lot of times going to the rock star thing, how a lot of these people will just all of a sudden one day up and disappear, and you don't hear from them for a long time. And you find out they moved to some small farm in a little, community where nobody really knows who they are, and that's just kind of where they've been for the last decade or two.
Yeah, and
it's like, no, I get that. It's you got all that out of your system when you were young, and then you're like, okay, I want to go over here and just live a quiet life now. And the stories that my kid should never hear, but I'm sure he will. So
he won't hear them from me.
He'll probably hear them from me, but
that's because I'm the better friend. I know where the bodies are buried, and I know how to keep my mouth shut.
But it kind of, I'm not I know I touched on it a little bit one of the last episodes that we did. I'm not really... Turning 50 doesn't bother me. It's kind of the... coming to the realization that apparently I'm going to have lower back and hip pain for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have to take medication so that I can eat normal food and
you might as
and all that kind of junk. And it's one of those things that, again, I understand we all break down at some point.
You might as well go ahead and chip in for the DDP yoga app.
I've
for
already
yourself.
got it, so I've got all that, but. That was the
app has got all the new updated stuff.
The problem with me, and I really found it out last year.
The problem with you?
Well, the problem with this particular thing,
okay,
with exercise for me is, and I found it out when I was hitting it pretty hard last year, is that I have lingering physical problems that are getting worse. Like I have a bad hip, which apparently now I've got a bad hip and one that's trying to be a bad hip also. I have a bad knee. I've got 2 bad ankles. I've got a problem with both my shoulders. And in my lower back, I know this because I had to go in a couple of years ago to have an MRI done, and I've got the lower 2 discs in my back are degenerative. And the doctor was like, well, the good news is you don't have to have a surgery yet. Like, well, I know that at some point I'm going to have surgery on that. And I'm like, well, let's just go ahead and write down all the stuff that I need to get fixed while we're here.
It's kind of like going to the mechanic. This is what I need to get fixed now, but I need a list of what I should be planning.
Exactly. And so it's just kind of one of those like, oh. So lifting like I was doing, and I wasn't even lifting heavy, but just lifting in general is one of those things where it's like, hey, I can get away with this for a while. And then all of a sudden one day I lift and I'm not doing anything heavier than what I was doing the day before or, a couple days before,
your
whatever.
Joints hurt.
And all of a sudden the rotator cuff that I've had problems with in my shoulder for years, all of a sudden starts really giving me problems. It's making it really tough. And then
what's helped me
it's just all
with
that
some
kind
of the
stuff,
the joint issue stuff is I started taking
fish oil.
Well, no, I didn't start that until this year.
I'm
because
also.
my endocrinologist, type 2 diabetes, was like, your triglycerides are way too high. You need to start taking fish oil. So I was like, all right. But what I did that helped with a lot of my joint stuff is I started taking collagen protein.
Yeah.
And started taking it pretty heavy on top of my whey protein that I take drink for breakfast. So
well, that's my doctor. Again, we're getting back into this again. Had told me here because I hate this term. Had told me a couple of years ago that I was pre-diabetic, which I'm like, isn't anybody that's not diabetic pre-diabetic? And which she did not find funny.
Yeah.
But
no, doctors don't find anything funny.
No, but
there's no sense of humor in that profession
that's kind of
anymore.
like when I thought I was having a heart attack earlier this year, and I'm laying there in the ER, and I'm talking to the doctor.
Oh, that's right. It was your turn this year.
Yeah, it was my turn this year. And I'm laying there in the ER after I'd been there for a couple hours or whatever, and they were like, well, the good news is you're not having a heart attack. I'm like, okay, well, it's coming. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, how the men of my family go out. And she just kind of looked at me and was like, hey, at least I can kind of plan my calendar around it, And she's just like, she's like, this is not funny. I'm like, maybe not to you, but it's...
Heart issues is how most of the folks in my family have gone out. Yeah,
some usually about early to mid 70s somewhere. Men on my dad's side of the family have a tendency, which is always fun considering my dad's had 2 heart attacks now.
Yours turned out to be like some kind of drug laced.
Mine was because of before I got back on the anxiety medication that I was on before, and I'm back on now. They prescribed me something else, and I was having a bad reaction to it. Actually, let's go into that. No.
I thought that was the drug-laced dollar bill you found laying on the floor.
Oh, that was something completely different.
Okay.
We have not talked about that on here.
By the way, that's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
That's like hitting the news now.
I know. It was a $20 bill. It wasn't a dollar bill. But yeah, I got... Yeah, well, the 2023 started off really fun.
Yeah.
It mellowed out. Well, it had
it
its
did.
ups and downs. But that was wasted. But the thing with me winding up in the ER back in September was my doctor put me on a different medication that I had never taken before, and then on top of it all, she also prescribed me a beta blocker.
Metoprolol?
I don't know what it was. It was a beta blocker.
I'm on a beta blocker.
Which, rather than giving me a prescription for Xanax, they were like, if you take this, for use whenever you're having, your anxiety's really up or whatever. I'm like, all right, fine. I have always had, average heart rate for an adult is somewhere 72, 75, somewhere around in there. I have, especially when I'm eating right and exercising, have had a consistent heart rate somewhere in the high 50s, low 60s.
Yeah.
Somewhere around in there.
Because you're a freak.
It's the way it is, Earlier in the year, before all this happened, I went in to do something and they had taken me to do all my vitals, and my heart rate was at 48 beats per minute.
Yikes.
And they were like, is this normal? I'm like, it happens sometimes. And then I had to actually talk to a nurse, and she was looking at me and she's like, well, I can see here since the last time you were in, you lost quite a bit of weight. I'm like, yeah. And she looked at me, she goes, do you run? I'm like, and at the time I was. I'm like, yeah. And she's just, that's not that unusual for people who are really active, So they had to sign off on it and everything. But
yeah.
Anyway, the beta blocker clearly on the very bottom of the label said, do not take if your heart rate is under 60 beats per minute.
Oh.
Because it lowers your heart rate. And
I didn't notice.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it was like, maybe I don't need to take these any longer. So,
enough with the fat man joke.
Yeah, so
cut it out.
It was just one of those things where it was like, yeah, I think the combination of that and the other medication were, because after I got off of them, had no more problems.
Yeah,
and like, all right, so it's like basically I gave up being thinner and in better shape, and feeling like I might be having a heart attack from time to time, for not feeling as anxious and not feeling like I'm having a heart attack, but putting on weight. So
better living through chemistry. Better living through chemistry.
But again, we are in 2024, and I said none of this new year, new me crap. But I am going to say this. I am, again, as I keep saying, I'm turning 50 here very shortly. And
I think you're just bragging at this point, because I'm already 50.
I know, but about a year ago, somewhere right around when I turned 49, I can't remember if it was right before or right after, I had decided, I was like, I don't really do birthdays a whole lot. And I thought, I'm going to actually plan my own 50th birthday party. And my grand plan was to essentially put the band back together and play.
Yeah.
I had a whole set list of, we're just going to do songs that I've loved throughout the years, and all this kind of stuff and everything. And as time went on, I just really didn't have the time to
practice or get everybody together.
A combination of both. Yeah. And it was just kind of one of those things. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that this year. I'm not going to do the birthday party, but I'm like, no. This year, again, I'm turning 50, which, big birthday. And I'm like, man, I haven't played music in, let me do the math real quick.
When was the last time you pulled up?
2014.
That was,
or no, it was 20. It's been 14 years.
Was that the Augie Stardust?
Yeah, it's
run?
Been since 2010. Mm-hmm. It was the last time that I
went out.
Yeah, I played it all, and I
put
played
on
a
the
lot.
Fishnets.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about playing in general, because I did do shows that weren't Augie Stardust that year, and I was just like, there's really no reason not to. My son's at an age now where he doesn't need constant, and I'm also in a living situation where there's someone that if I'm playing a gig or whatever, they can, I got somebody that can watch him. It's not going to really cause a whole lot of problems as far as that goes. And this year is also the 30th anniversary of my first band that I played in. And I'm just kind of like, okay, might be kind of cool to dust out, which I've already talked to Colin, and I'm like, all right, so maybe it's time to put the band back together and just really enjoy playing. That is
Ronnie
my only
coming back to town.
No, they're out of state now. So, but he wasn't in my first band.
Who was your drummer the first time?
Derek was.
Oh,
he was the drummer the first time.
Is he still around?
Yeah, now he lives in East Tennessee now. So, and but
so what I'm hearing
Colin,
is you're suddenly going to need a drummer.
Yeah, but Colin and Justin are still in the area.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, all right, it might be fun to reunite those guys for a couple of shows, but just in general, I'm like, no, I just want to play music. That's what I want to do this year. That's my big New Year. That's not even New Year's resolution. It's a I'm 50, damn it, and I'm going to have fun. And I don't
know any of y'all's originals.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
because I've been playing one of them for ever since then. And you've played it with me, so it's. But yeah, I fully intend to play music this year. A lot of music this year, and not any BS aside. Just I'm going to have fun. That's all it is to it. There's zero reason that I shouldn't or that I can't.
Yeah.
Unless things change. Obviously life happens sometimes, and you get, something happen. But until or unless something like that actually happens, I am going to play music.
You mean
a lot of it
collapse of society?
Yeah, I'm not even worried about that. That'll be fun to keep playing. Just do the soundtrack to it or whatever. So, yeah, and then we've got all that other crap coming up too. It's like,
yay, election year.
Yeah, it's.
Don't go. Don't even start.
So anyway,
move along. Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, well. There's going to be something to see about that very soon. So,
all I'm going to say is, get your fiddles out, folks.
No, that's we're not ready to announce anything yet.
We're gonna play fiddle and watch it burn.
That's it. I'm not ready to announce anything yet, but there's something coming. So,
oh, good. Why is it always something with you?
Because that's just who I am. So
you're not going to let me just slip under the radar, are you?
Nope. So that's a good way to.
I do not have enough ammunition for this.
Yeah, we can remedy that, but do it now while they're not still available.
Okay, so what else you got?
Well, let's be honest. It doesn't matter who is on the ballot. Okay, Democrat, Republican, whatever.
Left wing and the right wing.
Exactly.
They're the wings of the same bird that's just crapping on the rest of us.
Let's be honest. Ultimately, what it comes down to is the Republicans are a bunch of whiny ass bitches.
Well, I wouldn't have gone that far, but
and the Democrats are a bunch of retards. So you have a choice. You have a choice between the retards and the whiny ass bitches, and leaves the rest of us where we are. So it's
thoughts and opinions of Alex Smith are his own and have no representation of anyone else on this show.
Maybe. But that's ultimately what it comes down to, and it's just like, that means that we're just screwed.
You can't do that.
Can't do what? Can't do what? Can't say retard? I can say retard all day long. I don't care. That's kind of the, this whole policing people, what they can and can't say is just really gotten out of hand, and I'm tired of it. The thing is it's like, it's just dumb. But ultimately what it comes down to is I just really don't care anymore. Any F's I had left a long time ago. And I've caught myself many times policing my own language. And the thing is that it's kind of like anything else. If I call somebody retarded, I'm not being derogatory towards anyone who does have mental problems, okay? It is me telling someone you're acting like someone who does not have the mental capacity to understand what's going on here. And beyond that, I don't care. If you're going to be offended, be offended. Fine, be offended. That's fine. But you also have to ask yourself why you're being offended. Are you being offended because you're truly offended or because someone told you have to be offended?
We're going to get canceled.
I don't care. Nobody can cancel me. What are you talking about? You know how you get canceled is when you start caring. Really and truly, the only way you wind up quote-unquote canceled is if someone says, oh my God, you said something that's offensive, and then you have to go out and make some kind of stupid apology. And it's like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not apologizing to anybody. If you're offended, there's the door. Don't care. So ultimately what it comes down to is don't be a retard in 2024 and everything will be fine. So
next subject.
I'm taking it back.
Okay, Randall.
So going
why
forward,
do I do this podcast with you? I don't understand why I do this
because
to myself.
it's so much fun. All right, so we actually have a list here. We put together a list of
you
things
put together a list and handed it to me and said, this is what we're doing this year.
This is a list of things that we're going to be talking about this year. We are kind of going to be getting onto I won't say we're going to be back on a weekly, but we're going to get back to at least semi-weekly.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what
it's
happens.
all. And I personally, and I know Dave did as well, but I know I personally needed some time to think, or to just last year. I was coming off of a really rough year in 2022, and then it started off kind of rough, and then there were, like I said, there were peaks and valleys all through last year, but I really just needed some time to refresh.
I still need a month to go to a cabin somewhere and not be around people. I have had too much peopling. I am done with people.
Yeah. And so after all of it, and we talked about this on a previous episode, one of them that we recorded back before Christmas, the last time we got together, about I was kind of interested in getting back on a kind of a weekly. So one of the things that Dave and I have talked about is that, and this is kind of for both of us. Dave's already 50. I'm getting ready to turn 50. Half of our life ago was the year 1999. And I, in my own estimation, believe that 1999 was the last Gen X year. And I say that...
You're not the only one who said that.
I've
heard other people say
I've heard other people say it as well, but...
It's kind of when the marketing brats quit seeing us as viable.
Absolutely. They were already moving towards the millennials of like, hey, there's all these people. It had been coming for a few years, but that was... After 99 was the year that they're like, all right, we put up with them enough. We don't need them any longer. We're on to somebody else that's going to actually be more receptive to us.
Yeah.
And that was when they pretty much left us behind, and and there was much rejoicing in the land. And so we are going to be touching on some topics about the year 1999 all throughout the year. It's not just going to be front loaded. But we're also going to look back 30 years ago, because you look at 94, some of the stuff that was going on. And we'll also look back to one of the other, which I think was probably one of the greatest years for Gen X, which is the year 1984, which we did a whole series of, I think we did like 3 episodes about one about the movies, one about the top 100 singles, and one about the albums of 1984 back several years ago. If I think about it, whenever I'm putting this all together, I'll put what episodes they were in the show notes. But we're going to talk about stuff from all that, as well as some others. We've got one thing really cool once we can get it scheduled that we're going to do.
We had to buy some equipment. To facilitate this happening.
Yes.
And then the tornado happened,
Yes.
which set us back quite a bit.
Yes, it did. And then
we've got to...
And then the holidays. I mean, there was also the holidays and everything, but
And then we've got to actually pull some stuff together to see if we can make it happen, because the gentleman has graciously agreed to do it, but we've got to meet some requests that he's made first.
Okay. And so yeah, we have an interview with someone that's going to be really cool.
We hope.
We hope
if we can
not,
get it to work.
If we can get it to work, that'll be fine. So, but I gave this to Dave earlier. We have a tentative list of some topics that we're going to be looking at here over the next months, because believe me, there's months long worth of stuff here. Starting with, we're going to look at the Hot 100 singles of 1999. We're going to talk about the movie Gremlins, as well as the movie Seven. Not everything's going to be exclusive to all that stuff. We're going to do some stuff outside of it as well.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the albums of 1999. We're going to talk about the movie Ghostbusters. We're going to talk about a very seminal Gen X movie that came out in 1994 that you may have heard of. It goes by the name of Pulp Fiction.
Oh, am I going to have to watch that again?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about Reservoir Dogs?
We might go back and talk about that as well. We are going to talk about Purple Rain, both the album and the movie, and just Prince in general, because Prince pretty much ruled 1984.
Yeah, he did.
We're going to talk about the toys of 1984. We're going to talk about George Michael. We're going to talk about the movie Threesome, as well as the movie PCU.
The movie Threesome.
Yes, with Laura Flynn Boyle and the youngest Baldwin. Is that?
I don't even remember.
I've got the movie. It's a good movie. It came out in 94. And then we got some other stuff. We're going to talk about the best movie year ever. We'll just leave that hanging out there, because we'll come back to that. We are going to talk about, and I don't know if Dave has ever seen this television show or not, but I'm going to make him watch it. We're going to talk about the TV show Freaks and Geeks.
And I have seen an episode or two.
Yeah,
I've never actually watched the series.
I think it's like either 16 or 17 episodes. That's all it is. You're going to love it, believe me.
Okay.
We are going to talk about... We're going to finally do the Chuck episode.
I've still got to do the work on the Chuck episode. Sorry, dude. It's been a year.
And at some point, we are going to talk about Y2K. So... I don't know if that'll round out the year.
I feel really bad about the Chuck episode. We've been talking about it forever. I just have not had the time to pull this stuff together.
This is, now that we're going into our 5th year of doing this podcast, or we're in our 5th year of doing this podcast.
Yeah.
We decided to actually, plan stuff out in advance and kind of give you guys a little bit of a preview and stuff to look forward to. And we're gonna.
If we have any listeners left over after your rants,
yeah, well, it is what it is. So, but yeah, we're really looking forward to all this. So we're gonna get out of this episode now before we ramble some more, and get on to recording some more stuff so that you'll have more to listen to very, very soon. So I am Alan Smith.
I'm Big Dave. Somebody help me.
And we thank you for joining us for this episode of the Project Gen X podcast. You can go to the show notes and find us on all of our social medias, as well as notes just from the different episodes themselves.
And tell us, where do they email their complaints about you?
It's there.
Okay.
Yeah, we will see you guys real soon.
See ya.
You don't call retarded people retards. It's bad taste. You call your friends retards when they're acting retarded.
While you got your phone there,
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you need?
back on your Wi-Fi, because evidently you kicked me off.
I didn't kick you off the Wi-Fi.
Give me the code. Give me the code. Because your cell phone service here is terrible.
The cell phone service?
Yeah, I've only got like a bar and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you on Verizon?
Yeah.
I guess you saw where there's a big settlement. Verizon customers, like $100 million or something.
No.
Like that. Yeah.
I can get some money back from the big red machine.
Yeah, you need to go talk to them. Hold on, let me pull this up here for I know this is compelling.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of derailed the show. It's my fault. But I did bring you a new toy for your podcasting machine.
That top, that's the password.
That right there? Yep. Okay. Are you the 26 or the 3?
That one.
Oh, you're that one.
Oh. There you go.
Oh, okay. There we go. That makes it easy.
That is one of the things I do like about iPhones.
Yeah. Share the password.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've got Wi-Fi. Now
there
I can actually look at some of this stuff you're talking about.
Anyway,
go ahead.
That was compelling.
Cut it out later.
Podcast. Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah, just cut it out.